There we go.
Ah, there we go. Welcome, everybody. Peace and love, family. Welcome to Reality Speaks TV. And this is our first episode in this 4-part series about mental health, breaking the silence, and understanding mental health in our communities. October is National Depression and Mental Health Screening Month, and the first week of October is Mental Illness Awareness Week. This past Thursday, October 10th, was World Mental Health Day. Mental health affects every one of us, no matter who we are or where we are from. This week, ironically, is also National Depression Screening Week, running from October 6th through October 12th. And it's all about encouraging people to check in, not just with others, but with ourselves. Tonight, we're bringing this conversation home to our communities, our families, and our own hearts. Because mental health isn't just about diagnosis, it's about awareness, it's about balance, and most of all, healing. So let's talk about it openly, honestly, and without shame as we welcome our amazing guests, Lakeisha Jordan, Sister Tioka Muhammad, and Tanya Seeger. And let me tell you, these ladies have decades of experience working with mental health populations. So together, we're breaking the silence and shining light and understanding for healing and hope. Thank you, ladies, for being here and welcome.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you
Welcome.
for having us.
So I'm just gonna just dive right on in, um, and just ask every one of you, beginning with the order of appearance, how are you feeling today? And what made you want to join this conversation about mental health? I'll start with you, Lakeisha.
I'm energized. I am very energized. This topic is near and dear to my heart. So for me, it's personal. Considering all that I've had to endure, all that I've watched my family endure, and then working in the field, studying the field in school, it literally is personal. And it just started when I was a child. And my life's path have led me to really like realizing that this is not just a big issue, it's something that does need to be discussed more.
Yes. Okay. Thank you. And then next, Sister Tioka. I apologize right there.
Peace and blessings, family. The question you asked, what made us decide, we wanted to be a part of this conversation. This conversation is had all the time. Like you have it with friends, family, random people on the street. But to be able to have an opportunity to come on this podcast with you, Sister Sparkle, and shed a little light, I feel honored, and I feel like this discussion is way overdue, and it's the start of a healing process, because it is something that we're not talking about enough. We're talking about it in private, but we're not talking about it enough. And so thank you for doing this, Sparkle.
Absolutely. Thank you. Tanya,
Yes, ma'am.
welcome.
Welcome.
So I'm asking you, what made you want to join this conversation about mental health?
Well, mental health is in everybody's family. So when you asked me, I just thought this would be a good topic and a good time to join because it's well needed.
Yes, it is well needed.
Yes.
Thank you. And for me, I have to say that, like, I know it's one of those important things, but I didn't realize how much it needed to be talked about until I was at the Kelrell Crooms Business Education, Cultural, and Activity Center. We actually had a vodcast about prostate cancer, and mental health came up a few times. It came up the very first time that we had the event there, and then it came around the second time when we had a follow-up conversation. And then somebody else said, you know what? It's mental health. And then Sister Tioka came to me, mental health. So I'm like, you know what? I felt like it was a responsibility as a person who has a platform to allow this conversation to happen, because it's obviously a hot topic. Even me telling people what I'm going to talk about today, I was stopped and people held me up for another 5 to 10 minutes to tell me their testimony about mental health and
Amen.
how it has impacted them and their life and their loved ones. So I felt like it was one of those, like Sister Tioka said, overdue conversation. So here we are. And I have questions to let us flow along. I'm going to start with you, Lakeisha. Many of us were raised to pray it away or just be strong. How can we shift that mindset?
Well, I'm going to answer that question. However, I want to back it up because there may be some people that are watching that have no idea like how it's defined. So we're going to look at, I want to start by at least initially defining, how mental health is defined. And it is defined as a state of emotional, psychological, and social well-being that affects how we think, feel, and act. It encompasses our ability to handle stress, relate to others, and make choices. So, in regards to your question, I just wanted to clear that up first because there's a lot of misconceptions about mental health. So, please repeat your question if you don't mind.
Oh, yes. Thank you for that, because that's very important before we start a conversation to, actually define what these things are. And I'll do that again towards the middle, towards the end, and go over, because there's a difference actually that you bring that up between mental illness and mental disorder, as well as mental health disease.
Yeah.
So that's definitely going to be something that we unpack. But the question for you is, many of us were raised to pray it away or just be strong, or how can we shift that mindset while holding on to faith?
I think for me, growing up where it was not discussed, and even throughout my teenage years and adulthood, I'm from Harlem, New York. It isn't a conversation, or it would be a matter of a stigmatism if there was a conversation about it. We're sending people to the fourth floor. And because of that, when I finally went into foster care and I'm going to church and different things like that, I did end up in environments where people were like, oh no, it's a spiritual battle. You guys have to pray. And while I feel like that is a whole nother topic for another day from a spiritual aspect, the biggest piece for me is for people to be mindful that no matter what you want to define it as, what's happening, the key is to still recognize you need help. And so while the pray it away attitude came from quite a bit of folks in the church and stuff like that, I think it kind of suppressed the reality that there was still professional outside sources needed where medication used to be stigmatized. There's so many different things that were attached to just that conversation. So to be able to create a balance, I feel like it's about being honest with people, but also accepting that not everybody is on that plane in order to pray it away. We have to be in a position where we're real enough to say, let's start with who you are and what can best help you.
Wow. I know that I gave you that question, but do any of you ladies want to speak to that at all? Okay.
I'll try. So I was listening to what Sister Lakeisha was saying, but I was really like turning that question around in my mind a few times, trying to understand the foundation of it. I can't personally say that I grew up in a family where we were told to pray it away, um,
The
or be
church is good.
or be strong, right? Um, and I really like listening to that. That's a very good question. So let's just say that, right? And so I'm like really like soul searching, like growing up, what did I think of mental health? So I'm from Brooklyn. We used to say, folks were 7:30. I don't know
Exactly.
if that was, I don't know if that was a
Exactly.
clinical diagnosis, but I didn't really, it was just something that we said when we seen somebody acting other than normal, right? Other than themselves. But growing up, I never thought of seeing people going through what they're going through in life, ups and downs of life on a daily basis. I never connected that to mental health. It was just the struggle that we were in. And so when you talk about the pray about it and be strong, that's where that coming from. It was never attached to, there was a mental health issue. It was stress, of course, which is a contributing factor, but it never, and I don't ever remember growing up saying that this person is having a mental health issues. However, I did grow up and I watched things happen in the community.
Uh-oh. Sister Tioka.
Okay. So she'll come back to that.
Yeah, I
Tanya,
definitely want to finish hearing what she has to say.
yeah,
I
Right.
it's amazing
there she
how
is.
diverse our experiences are, which is why this conversation is so important. If you guys are in the comment section, you are welcome to comment about how you feel regarding these topics and share your perspective, because all
Yeah.
of our journeys are different, but we all have encountered and been impacted by mental health. So don't be shy, get in the comment section and join us in this conversation. You are welcome here and we appreciate your perspective.
Yes.
Thank you, Sister Kioka.
Oh my goodness. I am very sorry about that. Um, so what happened was I didn't put my phone on do not disturb. And so
uh,
somebody called in and knocked it out. And I was just talking. Um, I hope you were able to hear me. But I mean, I really, like I said, I really listened and it really touched my heart to think that I did grow up seeing certain things, but I never contributed to mental health. But then
mm,
in my adult life,
Yes.
I can see it so clearly. And I'll be honest, I am not a person that would tell somebody to pray it away or just be strong. And that's because I understand that knowledge is power.
Yes.
And the more information that you know about what you're going through, talking about it, making it make sense as a terminology that we use commonly in our community, making associations and connections, seeing our hands in these situations,
mm-hmm.
taking
Yeah.
response, all of those things, but not to exclude prayer, but to put some power behind that prayer. Not to exclude being strong, but being strong in knowledge, with information. So I couldn't really answer it because I don't really recall too much, as far as growing up, but I know where I am now with it. And I know that the idea of just giving someone, just pray about it and be strong type of energy is not enough. So I've never dealt with that side of it.
You're mute,
Thank you.
Sparkle.
Oh, thank you, Sister Tioka. So Tanya, did you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, like coming up the same way. I didn't understand it coming up, or they didn't talk about it. But then straight after high school, I ended up working at a job, and we did work with people who are mentally ill and had problems paying their rent. So I used to work for a social service agency. So that's when I really learned about people with disabilities and mental health issues and things of that sort, because it wasn't really talked about coming up. But then when I started working in the areas and getting training about mental health, I see a lot of people, including, I mean, I don't think I'm mental, but I think everybody needs somebody to talk to. Everybody go through struggle, stress, depression, out trauma. Trauma's a big factor of it. So
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, I just learned about trauma. So I'm also reading this book called The Power of the Subconscious Mind. So what I found out about trauma was that, when we talking to somebody, right, and they get defensive, or we talking to somebody and they self-sabotage the situation. We talking to somebody and they just seem to have this dark cloud over them. I learned that that's actually not a negative thing for them. That's actually a survival technique being used because they
Mhm.
have some type of trauma on their mind, and that's their mind's defense to do that. So I just took a moment and really reflected on that and thought about how many people that, like Sister Tioka says, don't take anybody serious. Like, how many people did I take serious when all they were doing was their nervous system was actually just protecting itself. So that's how that trauma has a lasting impact. That's one way. So Well, actually, Sister Tioka, this next question is for you. How can spiritual awareness and emotional intelligence help us heal?
That's a deep question. Uh, let's go one by one. How can spiritual connection, okay,
Spiritual awareness,
spiritual awareness.
connection, and emotional intelligence help us heal.
So if I go to spiritual awareness, one of the major ways that it can help you heal is recognizing that there is you're not in control of everything, and it's okay. Okay, so there is the Most High, and that belief in that understanding that there is a creator to put you in the position or put you in the mindset to settle on. I remember when I used to go to church when I was a little girl, that's my favorite song. And the title was called Please Be Patient with Me. God is not through with me yet.
Mm.
And that's a song that's sung. I used to sing it in the choir, but that's a song that's sung to someone else about you and the things that you're battling. But when you take it inwardly, you can then reflect that I myself need to be patient with me because
Yes.
God is not through with me yet. So, settling on that spiritual awareness, you start to believe that, okay, it's okay that I can't control everything. It's okay that today wasn't as good as yesterday. And so, you know what I mean? It's okay. I'm going to grow through this. And so I think that that's where the spiritual awareness part help to balance out, being present. This is a terminology that we're using a lot lately. It's like, we want to be present in the moment. Sometimes we're so stuck in our head, but what's going on inside of our mind that we can't even see what's around us. And we forget to appreciate the small things.
Yes.
We forget to settle on gratitude. We forget to look at those who are struggling, instead of looking at them like, oh wow, look at them, they're struggling. Looking at them like, oh man, praise the Most High that I am not in this position or that I overcame something, or I'm doing better now or what have you. What was the second part of the question? Oh, emotional awareness,
Yes.
emotional intelligence.
Emotional intelligence. How can it help us heal?
So emotional intelligence, I'm not really sure what the definition of that is. So I'm gonna give it my understanding. When you say emotional intelligence, it's telling me that my emotions can be connected to my intellect. I don't have to react to what's going on around me. I can actually respond based off of data and information. That is that's a power move because we deal with so many type of people. Nowadays we say energies, but or spirits or personalities that what people are giving us, so it affects us. It becomes like a contagious. So if you come around somebody and that person is down, like in the dumps or a cloud or having a bad day, their emotional unintelligence or their emotional turmoil can affect you, right? But if you have emotional intellect, then you're able to still be the same person in a room of a bunch of people who are struggling mentally. You're still able to stand your ground and stay present in that time, in that moment, and then you can actually be the light for them. You can actually help them through.
Amen.
Because if you go there with them, right? So somebody is having a bad day and they're taking it out on you because this happens. They're taking it out on you. It's not personal, but they're having a bad day and you just happen to be the target. Emotional, from my understanding, from what the way you're using it, emotional intelligence will allow you to look past that person's faults to their needs. Okay.
Yes.
And that
Thank
is so true. That
Did
is so true.
Lakeisha, Tanya, did y'all want to add on? I know that I'm kind of like moving around y'all questions because I believe that sometimes something might come up. We might be sparked by one another. A thought that So
I I think what Sister Tioka said was powerful regarding the fact that people can come to you and they want to take things out on you. And you and I talk quite frequently, Sparkle. I call that dropping their garbage off. And we have a choice. Do we take it into our homes, or do we invite them to take it with them and make sure that that's not impacting us? So I think it's important that we're always mindful, at least from my perspective, my own personal journey and the things that I've grown to understand. We're always mindful that while we can't control what's going on outside of us, we absolutely have permission to always be aware enough to control what's going on inside of us and how we respond to what's going on outside of us.
yes. And the inside, the outside is usually something that we can see on each other, right? Like I like to think that we all are a mirror image of each other. Some things we kind of like turn a blind eye about, and some things, if it's within our reach, we'll just go ahead and face it. So this is opening my eyes too, actually. So Tanya Love,
Hey.
the next question is for you. So first of all, I said I got you down for 30 years experience in the dealing with mental health population. Is that about fair to say, or is it more or less?
Well, I'm gonna say about 30
About 30. That's what I
altogether.
thought.
Yeah, if I include the time now, yeah.
Yes. So from your 30 years of experience, what patterns have you seen in how our communities talk or don't talk about mental health?
Honestly, I see a lot of people talking about it because, like I said, I work for a social service, and like the clients that I serve, I take them to get the help, the services that they need for their mental health issues. So, but people that I even meet, they all have crisis and they talk to me about it. And it is, we have a lot of places here in Cincinnati that deals with people with mental health. It's all kind of services available.
So you notice in your years that is
Yes.
actually more prevalent, more
Yes.
acceptable, is being talked about more.
Yes.
Wow, that's awesome. How about you ladies? Because Sister Tioka, Lakeisha, you've also been dealing with the mental health population. Have you also noticed that same change, that is not as stigmatized as it was, say, 20 years ago or 10 years ago?
Ironically, because I'm from New York City and I spent the first 23 years of my life there and then end up spending the last 23 years of my life, 23 year plus of my life in Alaska, I don't feel like I had the opportunity to see the growth in the conversations in New York and then go into Alaska. We're talking big cultural differences. And for me personally, amongst my peer group growing up in New York, again, it was until I got into foster care and was dealing with the churches, with the Parade Away and all that stuff in the community, it was like, this person is crazy. And I think with you, Sister Sparkle, I've shared, my family, I literally watched my entire life the mental health issues in my family, not understanding what I was watching, which was why I was so passionate about learning more, working in the field and studying the field, because it directly correlated with making sense of how I grew up and what I endured throughout my own life. So Alaska now, we're dealing with more, by God's grace, I was able to learn more about the native cultures and Caucasian cultures. And I realized that those cultures were more open than where I came from about the discussions. They were quicker to go and get meds and put their children on meds. And so, again, I feel like the difference in the time and development of conversation, it made a difference, but I can't compare it to what I endured or saw in New York because, like I said, More people in New York are talking about it. I still have family and loved ones in New York. It is an open conversation now compared to when I was younger. Whereas going out there 23 years later, coming from New York, I walked into it being open conversation. I left New York without it being open, went straight into an environment where it was an open conversation.
Wow. Okay. So I know, growing up, medication for people around me was like, oh no, it makes matters worse. Like I've seen young boys of, teenagers or younger, 12, drool coming out their mouth, and this is the face that they would have. And I always felt like medication just made things worse. And I don't know, I never took medication for mental health or anything like that. But I just, from the people and places that I've been in, the people that I've seen, for us, to me, I haven't seen anything positive. I don't know if you ladies agree with that or not. I was suggested medication, but I always chose the holistic route. That included me being proactive, like going to the YMCA, engaging in yoga, having talks, going for walks, reading books, just going that extra mile to not to dumb away my creativity. Not saying that medication was, but I just seen from the young people that was put on it in front of me, I didn't have anything. I just don't like medication for us. I think it just makes things worse. And I know someone personally who was taking Prozac and told me that it made them feel weird. They got diagnosed with manic depression. Back then it was called bipolar. So for us, I think that we need to be more creative on how we handle mental health in our community, and it takes a village. And I just believe that this conversation is starting here right now. But that was just my opinion about medication with us. So the next question, we're actually rolling really well here. I just wanted to know, did any of you have anything to say, maybe even about the medication? Like, how do you feel about medication? Okay, wait, Tanya. I got unmute your mic, and then Sister Tioka, go ahead. Tanya.
I really do believe that medication will help. I really do. I think I would be for medication.
Okay.
I would. I would be for the medication. Even though you probably see it not working in people, but I even seen people that went through issues as a child, and some of them feel like if they stop, then something, you know what I'm saying, then they would feel different if they was to stop. But I had also had some that started as a child and they grew up because they, you know what I'm saying, because they feel like they beat the demons or whatever. Because you know how people mother, like she was saying, sometimes a lot of people parents put them on it, and then they end up understanding and learning about the Bible and stuff like that, and get off of the medication and doing wonderful.
Hmm.
So I guess that'd be to each his own, honestly.
Case by case basis.
Yeah, case by case.
Uh-huh. Sister Tioka.
Yes, ma'am. Um, I cannot say that I agree to medication. I cannot say that I 100% disagree
Right.
either. I can settle on case by case. However, I don't think we pay enough attention, or I don't think the doctors pay enough attention to properly uh, create
Managing.
create things to manage the different levels of mental health, right? Listening to y'all remind me that I had an aunt that she's my favorite aunt. She was crazy. But she wasn't crazy the way black folks say crazy. She was so funny and so cool to be around. And she was always drunk. And she was
Mm.
and she was extra, extra, extra fun when she was drunk. I grew up to find out that she had mental health issues. But I didn't know that when I was younger. Because she just was the coolest auntie ever. But she was struggling with some life changing things that nobody knew about.
Mm.
And she was not on medication, or so we believe. However, she was very much self medicated because
Yeah.
I tell you, when she got drunk, you didn't see no sorrow. And I'm bringing this up because the Carol L. Kroon Becker Center is located on the corner of Park and South. And we can go outside and just sit on the stoop and we can watch our community walk past with some severe mental health stuff. I listened to my husband as he would have a conversation with some of them. And come to find out that these guys, some of them are, they just had a break. Like they just got to the point where they just couldn't take no more. Right. And they decided one way or another that this is the life that they want to live. Whether they got addicted to drugs via fentanyl or what have you, a level of self-medication is what they're doing out here in the streets. Now, do I believe that managed medication will work to get them into a facility and have them take medication that will help them? I don't think that they know how to diagnose mental health appropriately enough to say that will work. Because if in fact a person have a chemical imbalance, the chemical imbalance can be dealt with on numerous of layers. It doesn't have to be medicine. It could be through the diet. When we go to the children and they diagnose the children with the ADD, ADHD, bipolar, manic depression, borderline personality trait, all of these diagnoses are behavioral issues. Right now, we're living in a time of information. We're literally watching in front of our face, as much as most of us disagree with Mr. Donald Trump and his cabinet. If you are paying attention, they are pulling they're pulling the covers over the pharmaceutical right now. They're exposing the drugs. They're exposing the food additives. They're exposing the dyes and the chemicals, like mercury. They're exposing that other countries won't even take our food.
Exactly.
So the problem that we're having is not just that somebody just woke up like that. We're not all Beyonceing it out, right? Something happened to our generation and the generations before, and it has a lot to do with the way that we eat. It has a lot to do with environmental toxins. It has a lot to do with the fluoride that's in our toothpaste. It has a lot to do with the lead that's in our water. Don't have me start preaching, but I'm gonna tell you, the problem is there.
Yes.
And just diagnosing somebody with a pill with a chemical concoction is not the answer. We have to do more. So I can't agree on medication.
Yeah, that's interesting. Thank you. And Lakeisha, the next question is for you. I'm waiting for comments. People
I
don't
was
feel
about to tell
shy.
them, come on in, join the conversation. Put your questions, your comments, your experiences in the comment section. We want you guys to understand that we're having an open discussion as adults. But man, when I tell you, Sister Tioka, you just lit up the stage. You lucky I didn't have a horn because I'd have been honking it. You told it, you told the truth, and I love that. I want to, for me personally, and because I've had so many experiences in my personal life with loved ones, I've actually had to tend to for many years, loved one with mental health issues. One of the things I will take, like for example, my mom, before I ended up in foster care, my bio mom, not that conversation wasn't had about mental health. However, my mom was on and off, I'm lying, she was on drugs most of her life until her last suicide attempt. And at that point, not only did doctors not understand how she survived that suicide attempt because they had to black tar her. I didn't even know they did that. She took over 90 seizure pills and just kept convulsing. Bottom line is she survived that. And it was coming out of that. I always tell people the most profound thing that my mother ever said to me. I made it up to Harlem because she was at Harlem Hospital at the time. And I'm standing over her. She's going in and out of consciousness. And she goes, not even mom, I mean, not even God wants me. I said, Mom, God's not finished with you. But she went from that hospital to, for the first time in her life, a inpatient drug treatment program that for the first time in her life diagnosed her mental health issues, put her on meds, and she spent the last 15, 16 years of her life clean. She was always self-medicating. Always self-medicating. But because I know what my mom endured and I understood how cliche or how quiet you had to keep those conversations, as I grew older and started learning about this, I had such a high level of empathy for my mom. And when she finally got the help that she needed, to me, the medication is what she needed. Might not have been what somebody else needed, because when I have my issues, it wasn't anything that I needed. But I feel like I'm with you, Sister Tioka. We don't need to start throwing meds because there's so much more to it. But every now and again, there's a reason that people have smarts to create these things too. I still feel like there's wisdom given, because while there are different outlets for people to take to help heal when it comes to mental health, different people do require different things. And if we have something that could reel a person back in right away, and even if it's just to get them stabilized in the moment, I feel like it's nice to at least have that necessary resource if it's needed. That's it.
And I wanted to say that too about mental health. There's some people that we can visually see and audibly hear. Like, for example, you're going walking down the street, you see somebody that looks like a vagabond. They might be a little disheveled. They might look like they haven't taken a shower. They might have a body odor or a stench. They might even be talking to themselves out loud. So those type of mental health are a little bit different from someone who's walking around with maybe some anxiety or some social disorder or some depression. And I would like to think that is some induced mental health too. I would be remiss not to say that our people, some of us are in denial because we have some dormant environmental systematic induced trauma that causes this mental health. If you Black in America, I don't know what age, maybe we can even say by the mama's stomach, there is some mental health concerns. There's some triggers being there. Imagine a Black man or a Black woman just not being able to elevate in their own community, but they watch everybody else out. Those can induce some feelings of mental health, mental illness that, like I said, systematically, environmentally induced trauma is real. And like I said, a lot of us are in denial because of the stigma associated with mental health. You have to be like that man or that woman walking down the street with the body odor or being homeless or talking to themselves. No, we could be operating every day and don't even realize or acknowledge the fact that we're laying dormant with some systematic and induced mental health. But I wanted to keep it flowing because I see myself getting a little to the way. So I'm gonna ask you this one more round of question, and then we have to highlight the Empower You section. We have a spotlight coming up. So Lakeisha, this question is for you. You've been open publicly about your growth and resilience. How do we give ourselves permission to not be okay sometimes?
Oh, that's a beautiful question. Honestly, I think we have to practice coming out of the mindset that we have to be okay. Whether we are single parents, whether we are, older siblings, because I happen to have been both. And we have to give ourselves permission. We have to practice putting ourselves in a position to say it's okay to not be okay. And while most people who have a lot on their plate are expected, especially if they're being looked up to, they're expected to be okay. There's not a constant acknowledgement. Sometimes we put the I'm not okay on the back burner, so much so that it isn't even acknowledged until it has spiraled out of control, leading to depression or leading to, just wanting to be closed off, different things. Something that I also wanted to make a note of as well, and I'm almost sure you all can agree, is that people take for granted that, as we speak about this, people take for granted that mental health is always looked at on a broad scale. People don't realize that even the littlest things can be mental health issues, whether it's low self-esteem, whether it's, just little minor things that we look at as no big deal. There's so many things that we brush off as no big deal, but yet unattended to, which is the point I'm making. And even the littlest thing unattended to can become something major. So we have to even be mindful and constantly checking in with ourselves about how we feel. I do this constantly throughout the day. It sounds crazy, but literally there are some moments I walk into a gas station, I'm like, something don't feel right. But I'm making this conscious decision to acknowledge, because I don't want to end up back where I came from. You get what I'm saying? And so we have to have these conscious conversations with ourselves regularly, to not fall into the trap of believing that's no big deal, and then that no big deal becomes a big deal.
Yes. That big deal becomes a big deal, I guess, before it goes too far. Sister Tioka, thank you, Lakeisha. Lakeisha actually mentioned the word practices. So my question for you is, what are some small practices we can do daily to protect our peace?
I guess I'm gonna go where we started at with the prayer. um, I'm gonna use this terminology because I want to make the connection. Some of us are into meditation, and some of us are into grounding ourselves. Whatever that looks like for you, recognizing that there is a higher purpose, that this too shall pass. You know what I mean? That's going to remind you of the peace that you have within you, that you have permission to feel. I do that through prayer. Okay. I cannot start my day without doing Fajr prayer. I will feel off. And prayer for me goes with movement. And the movement of prayer for me, every point is a reminder that I'm actually working towards something. That last movement, when my head is all the way to the ground and I'm saying, glory be to God the Most High, it puts me in this state of, there is none worthy to be worshiped but the Most High.
Amen.
I just stay in that space, and that I will be protected, and I will be at peace if I'm constantly reminded of that. So I go back to that, But for me, the growing up understanding of prayer, unfortunately, and I don't mean to be offensive. I hope I don't offend anyone. It almost felt like it was a wish. Prayer is not a wish. Being grounded and meditating on the oneness of this creation by the Creator, that is not a wish. That is being present. That is being purposeful. That is making your to-do list, your checklist. That's that morning prayer for me. I lay on that prayer rug and I be like, okay, what I gotta do today? What I gotta do is ask permission to do whatever it is that I want to do, and ask that what I am going to do is the will of the Most High. So that's my long, short answer, what have you. That's all I got.
That sounds good. Um, and the prayer, the meditation, those differences, I'm like you, whatever works, whatever gets you that soul, your soul at ease in that moment. Tanya. So I guess the question for you is, like, how can family members recognize when silence is actually a sign of struggle? A loved one, someone around you. How can we recognize that?
Did you unmute me? Can you hear
Yes.
me?
Yes.
Okay. Um, Silence. Hmm. Well, like I said, people can see, and people body language. I
Mm-hmm.
just feel like people would see it. Like, but I feel like when it comes with mental health, for me, it's more. I think it had come with, like I said, the people that I know. It can be from different things because even though if you don't say nothing, you can see the difference in the way that they moving, the way that they carrying themselves. Maybe shattering being alone. Maybe you can tell that they ain't taking care of their personal hygienes or taking care of their bills. You can, I think you can see it, or are people just not want to come around?
Mm. Yes. People just not wanting to come around. And we
Yeah,
don't want that, right?
we don't want that. But that's why I try to stay in contact with family. That's me. I just try
Yes.
to stay in contact with family, reach out to everybody.
Mm. And then the holidays, that's what I really like the holidays for. A lot of people, I'm like, I'm not really celebrating holidays. You don't have to celebrate the holiday, but you can celebrate the unity within your community, within your family. It's an excuse to get together, to love on one another. It's an excuse to check in, say hi, how you doing? Look at somebody underneath their glasses, put your glasses back up. Just get a good look at them.
Yeah, but
Make
I
sure
think I'm the
everybody.
type that I like, but you already know I stay in contact with family. It don't have to be a holiday or none of that. I just try to stay in
Yes,
contact with family.
yes, that's true. And it's no secret that me and you stay in contact heavy, and we family, right?
Yes,
And I think it's very important. You
yes,
know,
it
um,
is. Because I do
so
respect if people don't do holidays. I guess I do respect it, but that's why I say I do every day. I tell all my family that I love them. They can call me anytime or all that stuff.
mm, wow, yeah, that's exactly right. So thank you, ladies, for your answer. We're not done. I won't keep you any longer after this, but I did want to take a moment in our segment, as I promised our listeners, to highlight someone special. This is our segment called Celebrating You, where we take a moment to recognize someone ordinary doing extraordinary things within themselves and within the community. So this Celebrating You segment, I tried to surprise Lakeisha, but I couldn't. It belongs to Lakeisha Jordan. She's here with us. She's here with the cipher. And I call on her day and night. She's available. She's listening. She's hearing me out. She's just like a phenomenal person, right? But just to get you listeners to know a little bit more about Lakeisha, besides her being phenomenal, is that Lakeisha is an extraordinary woman. She's ordinary, but she's lived a phenomenal life. She's a living example of what it means to rise above every obstacle and still pour back into the world. She is a survivor of the foster care system, homelessness, teenage alcoholism, and she's overcame 2 failed suicide attempts. Yet she never gave up. Today she stands tall as a mother of 5, a foster mom who had opened her heart to her and her home to keep her 4 siblings together. Her compassion and her courage were recognized when she received the Beating the Odds Award in 2018 from the Alaskan Head Start Association. In 2019, she took her passion even further and ran for Fairbanks City Mayor. She ran for mayor, y'all, proving that no matter where you come from, your story has power and purpose. With more than 20 years of experience working in mental health and behavioral health as a youth and family advocate for at-risk youth, she continues to be a voice for healing, hope, and change. So on this Sister Cipher, Lakeisha, we celebrate you tonight for your
Thank you.
strength, for your service, and for your unstoppable spirit. You are a reminder that it's not about where you start, it's about how you rise. So just wanted to.
Thank you. Thank you, ladies. Um, I genuinely, my biggest thing is to acknowledge that God purposed all of us. And a lot of people, I've been in those spaces where, what am I here for? Like And so every solitary person that I see, even if they can't see it, I'm wanting them to know, at least hear it once if they're hearing it for the first time. You have a purpose. Because I know what I went through. I know a lot, and I tell people this all the time. Trauma starts at home sometime. And because that's where my trauma, my mental health, all these things started at, a lot of times we are forced to have to navigate through things without even knowing what the things are we're navigating through. And so just at something as simple as extending you're loved, you're beautiful. I don't think people understand how much power that can have to someone that may be caught up in this world of feeling worthless. And so for me, God literally allowed my life's journey to be a testimony to the fact that it don't matter how many times you're down, God still purposed you, and your trials are intentional in order for you to be able to lift someone else up and say, I used to be you, and you're going to make it. So I just wanted to share that and encourage everyone. We are powerful to those who may not be feeling like they are, and we can bring them into this space.
Yay. I like that. We could bring you all are welcome to the space. I hope y'all watching because we got some people watching over here. So thank you, Lakeisha, for your service, and yeah,
Thank you.
phenomenal. All right. So the next question that we have here is going to be for Tanya. I'm going to come right back to you.
Okay.
But first, let me change this banner here. There we go. All right, we back. So what are some realistic steps, Tanya, that someone can take if they can't afford therapy or they don't know where to begin?
Mm.
The first step in therapy, first of all, I would call my insurance people for therapy. I would go to see my medical doctor and see if they can give me some referrals. But a lot of people really go through their mental health, which they probably already have. The people I come across, they already are already set up with somebody. You know what I'm saying? But if you don't have it, I mean, therapists, you can go see your primary physician. They can give you referrals to see someone. It's people out there to help you even apply for free medical. You know what I'm saying? So your therapy sessions will be free. It's
Yeah.
definitely a lot of services. They have case managers, social workers. They have a lot of different things in Cincinnati.
Yeah, Cincinnati is growing. I'm really happy to hear all that stuff. It's very makes me
Mm-hmm.
proud. And I would like to think that someone needs to come up here on the Sister Cipher and just we're here for you. You know, I'm gonna speak up for everyone who showed up today, starting with Cincinnati, Ohio, Tanya calling out of Sister Tioka, Lakeisha. So we have a very diverse group of people, and our location is also diverse. We're all four of us are calling from different parts of this map. You
Right.
know, coming together on this virtual reality speaks TV platform to let you know that we are here from you. We are talking about it. Look at us. We are here. We're present. We're here for you. So I would like to think that you could tune in right here and get some therapeutic action going on, and and start the conversation, because not everybody is a fit for therapy. Not everybody like talking to people. Not everybody like to let everybody know that they are getting help. So I like to think that we are that source and that strength and that pillar for our online community, helping to create a online community center where we could all come together virtually and be each other's support. So I'm grateful to have you ladies here with me this evening to stretch that. Okay, so thank you, Tanya. Tioka, I'm coming to you next. And
But I want to say I really enjoy listening to both of the ladies that's here today as well. They were very good.
yes,
Yes.
that's right. Yes. Okay. So, Sister Tioka, it's a stigma in our community about mental health. When we say we are breaking the silence, what does that mean to you personally or spiritually?
Breaking the silence. Well, personally, it means that I'm no longer being controlled by or consumed. No, I'm. You know what? Breaking the silence means that I'm becoming courageous. I'm no longer fearful, and what's the saying? Closed mouths don't get fed, right? So it's like I'm gonna talk about it. I'm not okay, right? What Sister Lakeisha said, I'm not okay, and I'm letting you know. I have people in my life that will say, I'm not okay, and I'm letting you know I am not okay. And then that opens the door to say, okay, how can I help you? Or what's going on? I could become a listening ear. I'm the type of person that I'll be a listening ear, but at the same time, I'm solution based too. So I don't want to just get dumped on. I'm like, okay, so we're gonna strategize and figure out how to, get through this, over this hump, and figure it out. But yeah, it's having uh courage. Yep, to not stay in it.
Courage. I like that.
Hmm.
Um, so Lakeisha, we're gonna start closing out. But before we close out and before we go, I want to piggyback off something you said earlier when you talked about mental health. Before we go any deeper tonight and before we come to a close, I want to take a moment to clear up something that often confuses people, the difference between mental illness, mental health, mental illness, mental disorder, and mental disease. When we talk about mental illness, we're talking about how a person's emotions, thoughts, or behavior are affected, things like anxiety, depression, or trauma. It's about the way we experience our mental health every day. A mental disorder is what professionals call it when they officially diagnose those symptoms. That's the term you'll see in medical records or in the DSM. It's
Erica, how
just
was that food?
it's definitely the clinical it's just the clinical language for the same struggles many of us live with. And a mental disease usually points to a biological or physical cause, something happening in the brain itself, like Alzheimer's or certain brain injuries. So while the words may sound different, the heart of it is the same. Real people, real experiences, and the need for understanding, healing, and support.
Yeah.
So, this is
I
the, I'm listening.
I'm so sorry. I wanted to add real quick, since anyone that's watching right now, I would love to know if you guys could drop in the comment section how y'all would rate your support system, because support is so important. How would you rate your support system if you were in need of mental health support? Would you say you have full support, okay support, very little support, or no support at all? These sorts of things are something that people usually don't think about, especially if they feel like they're fine. And then, God forbid, they go through mental health crises, even if it's minor, and then they realize, oh, wait, I don't even know where to start, or I don't even have support, or maybe I do have support, but didn't know until I finally said I need help. So, for you guys watching, in the comment section, if you don't mind, how do you rate your support, or how would you rate the community that you may live in and its ability to support people with mental health issues? Drop that in the comment section. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.
That's right. I like that. I'm gonna rate it a 10. I put it in the comments already. Sister Tioka, I want you to rate it. Rate that. Okay, let me unmute you. Go. Oh, you gotta unmute yourself. It's telling me.
Oh, I was trying to read it.
Yeah.
I figure out how to do it.
That's what me and Lakeisha was talking about. Like, where's the poll?
So I'm trying to read it.
Yes.
Yes. I love that what you said. And we have to add to it too, because I noticed that sometimes when people are having a mental hiccup, that's just my terminology, when it's
Hmm.
kind of stuck, they really don't know what support they need. So it's hard to see the support that is around them. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? 'Cause they just like stuck in their head and they don't see a way out, and they're like, they don't know how to relay to someone else. I
Hmm.
think that when you are in that position, you just stop, Like you said, Sister Lakeisha, you was like, I am not okay. Call up somebody and say, I'm not really sure what's going on right now, but I'm not okay. And I need some support. Don't know what that support look like. I don't have, I'm not asking you to go shopping for me. I'm not asking you to go. I don't know what it look like, but I just need support. So yeah, I love that, because again, sometimes they just don't even know what to call it. I was telling Sparkle earlier down at the Carol L. Kroon Becker Center, have a cafe open, and it's a bar area, and I'm noticing for the past couple of weeks that when people come and sit at that bar, and when I say bar, we're not selling no alcohol. It's only healthy food and healthy dialogue. They literally sit there and they want to talk.
Mm.
And they're just pouring. And I'm like, there's just this is sober conversation.
Yeah.
Right there at the bar area. And I was telling Sparkle earlier, I was like, that really warms my heart because it feels like I'm offering some sense of therapy. Even though I don't consider myself a clinician, I know that extroversion, coming outside of your head, being present in the moment,
Yes.
having a conversation with someone is a very good type of therapy. So yes, what Sister Lakeisha said, she said, get that support, put that call what they call a lifeline. Call a lifeline.
Yes.
So yes.
And real quickly, too, something else that I don't want people to take for granted is our ability to um, insert that we are aware that somebody needs help. So it might be a loved one. Again, sometimes they might not know it. Sometimes they might be in the background being so strong. And it's okay. I want people viewing to know that it's okay to say, hey, I'm not sure what's going on, because we're on the outside looking in, right? We're able to see more. So it's okay to say, I noticed you've been, a little moody lately, or maybe not yourself necessarily. Is there anything that, we might be able to do to kind of help you get back to that space that we're used to you in? Those little things might actually bring it to their attention, like, oh shoot, I've been putting this off, I didn't even realize things were changing. But us on the outside, we're seeing it. So it's okay for us to come to our loved ones and say, hey, I'm noticing that some things are different. Are you okay? Or if you're not okay, how can I be there for you? So
Okay, I like that. And I got a closing question for you, Lakeisha. If
yeah,
there is one thing you want someone watching tonight to know and to remember, what would it be?
I want people to know that they are in the midst of their testimony, because this moment is not it. They're in the midst of a testimony. The feelings are real. The things that they see and that they're going through, they're all real. But it's okay to not allow what is real in this moment to consume your forward movement. It's okay to say, I don't even know how I'm going to get through this. I don't feel like I'm going to get through this, but I'm determined to get through it. I'm determined to not stay here. I deserve more. Like, that self-conversation, I'm really big. You know this, Sister Sparkle. I'm
Yes.
so big on constantly being able to have these real conversations with myself. So I want to encourage people to be able to not just acknowledge that piece of what's going on, but also be able to speak life into themselves in that moment and say, I'm not settling for this, or this isn't it. I don't know where to go, but I'm going to find out where to go. So pull a whole picture together, not just the piece that hurts.
Wow. I like that. Sister Tioka, you are next. If there's one thing you want someone to remember tonight, what would that one thing be?
Sister Lakeisha said it. But I know one of the things that I like to think about is, when we're in something. So it's like, letting someone know that these feelings are temporary. This
Mhm.
that this too should pass. And so settle on the lesson. What is it that I am supposed to learn from where I am and what I'm going through right now? So then it can ultimately become your blessing.
Yes.
And it can ultimately bless someone else, because a lot of what we're experiencing here on this in this dialogue is us turning experience, whether it's you working in that field, or life experience, or uh, rising out of trauma. um these lessons, all these lessons become your blessings personally, but as you share it, it also become a blessing to someone else.
Mm-hmm.
So if someone can walk away from this dialogue listening to us and say, wow, everything, or at least a part, most of what they said, has helped me to look at the condition I'm in right now, and not multiply where I'm at right now, but to see past it and see that future me doing better one day, sharing my story, another day being a blessing for someone else, because that's
Yes.
what I need it, pay it forward.
Amen.
Amen. All right. And Tanya, the same question. If there's one thing that you want people to remember tonight, what would that be?
Well, I want them to remember that mental health is in every family. They're never alone. It is support out there, and it is someone that love them,
Ah, I
and
like
that God is good. Stay prayer first, stay mindful, and again, this too shall pass.
that. And for my piece of I would like to offer to anybody is, you are not alone.
Yes.
I am here with you. Go on. You're
That's
always
right.
in my heart. You are not alone.
You're not alone.
Okay.
I
Okay.
am too. So that's my piece I would like to leave with somebody, as well as Diamond Behavioral Health is offering a 1-800 number saying don't struggle alone. I would like to offer that number for people who might want to, talk to someone afterwards. The number is 888-756-5074. 888-756-5704. So I'm going to put that in the comments.
Got
Really
you.
quick. Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
And then I think I got to everyone here. I'll just go ahead and close on us out. This is part one of a 4-part series. And this is in honor of all the things that I mentioned before. World Mental Health Day, World Anxiety Day, all of that stuff. We just want to have this conversation and spread awareness and let you know that we are here for you here on Assist Our Cipher. So I'm closing out. And family, tonight's conversation has been powerful and necessary. We've heard wisdom, honesty, and compassion from women who've spent over 20 years, 30 years walking beside people on their mental health journeys, not just as professionals, but as nurturers, advocates, and sisters in the struggle for healing. Remember, mental health is not a weakness, and seeking help is not a sign of failure. It's a step toward freedom. Every one of us has a mind, emotions, and spirit that deserves care. Each and every one of us has a spirit that deserves care. So if something in tonight's conversation spoke to you, don't ignore it. Reach out, talk to someone, and you are not alone. This is just the beginning. Episode 2 will take place and take us even deeper. We'll take a deeper dive as we continue this 4-part journey toward understanding, breaking stigma, and building community healing. Thank you for watching the Sistar Cipher on Reality Speaks TV. Thank you to my co-hosts, Lakeisha Jordan, Sister Tioka, Tanya, Cousin T. You know, we're breaking the silence and we're understanding mental health in our communities. Until next time, stay grounded, stay gentle with yourself, and keep speaking truth because your reality matters. Remember, this is Reality Speaks TV. Real people, real talk, and real time. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Good night.
Night.